This is the Big O Show. This is the Big O Show.
Oh, what's good, man?
What's happening? What's happening? All right, this is trippy because the whole Open was playing on live, but Sean was not seeing it at all. Like he hit it, and to him it's not even playing, yet it's playing live on YouTube, which is weird.
Technology,
weird,
man.
Weird.
Technology is just weird.
You weren't around for this, but when Hard Knocks was here,
Okay.
it was dysfunctional. You had the whole mess from, Parcells in Ireland, and then Joe Philbin, and the finger pointing, and
episode 2,
Donna Ponte, and all this crap, right?
Yeah.
All right. So we're back.
Yeah.
Anyway, so at that moment, it was, Joe Philbin wasn't ready for this. He just wasn't the dude, and so people got terrified of this whole thing.
Yep.
And I'm trying to walk everybody off the ledge that is terrified of this. And I don't know the way you look at it, but I'm trying to tell fans that I actually think this is going to be a monster positive.
Okay.
Because they're going to see an organization that has a first-class facility in their practice facility and everything that they do. They're going to see a dynamic coach that people are going to want to play for. They're going to see a shit ton. That's the other thing. The leadership on this team, it's stupid. The amount of men they have on this team that are leaders and experienced. And I think that, McKenzie and Allen and Greer have done a magnificent job of bringing those kind of players here. I just think that this is going to be a monster selling tool for the Miami Dolphins for the next couple of years. I think this is going to turn other players on and agents, and they're going to say, hey, that's not a bad place to be.
You know what? The more I think about Hard Knocks, I think that, and I know he would hate to think of it this way, but this is just me talking. I think the biggest thing about Hard Knocks will be Mike McDaniel. I think that he will be the biggest star. He will be the biggest takeaway, and he will be the gathering. I think a lot of times Hard Knocks is about the players who are cut or their stories, and I'm sure there will be individual player stories here within Hard Knocks, and I'm sure they'll try to talk about Tua and Tyreek and Jalen Ramsey, but knowing Mike and knowing how people have attached themselves to him and his story, I think that giving people a deeper look into him will be most people's takeaway of the most interesting portions of Hard Knocks. It's just my guess. I haven't seen any episodes. But saying that, and what you're talking about as far as the impact it could have on the Dolphins long term, The Athletic just came out with a story I'd recommend people to go check out if you just kind of like to listen to people's thoughts on the league as a whole. They did a survey of polling players throughout the league on a variety of different topics, different cities you hate to play at, fan bases that are most annoying. And one of the topics was coach you most like to play for. And the poll had Mike Tomlin as the overwhelming number one, as he has for years. And number two was Mike McDaniel. And so you're already seeing people who Mike's only been in the league for, a season and a half as a head coach, already has shown enough in that time to get people in the player side of things saying, I want to play for him. If you see him on Hard Knocks, which almost every team across the league is going to watch in some capacity, that's more people getting a up-close look of what it's like to play for Mike. And so to me, that's the biggest selling point. And I'm eager to see how all in they go on the Mike McDaniel story. So I think that players will say, hey, I don't like the cameras. I don't want to do it. But then once they get in it, I think that some of them will embrace it. They'll have fun with it. And overall, I think it'll probably be fine. I don't think it'll be a net negative, a distraction, a overall bad thing as I think the initial reaction was.
Yeah, to me, I think it's going to be a monster positive. By the way, looks like you had a good time with Tua and the boys at the charity event.
I did. It was a good time. It was a really good time. By the way, Salvin Ahmed is going to injured reserve. Robbie Chosen is signing on the active roster. So we'll talk about Tua there, but I just wanted to give you guys the transactions as it came across my end. And so Ahmed has a foot injury, so he is going to IR. And so I guess and that will open up more time for when A Chain is healthy for him to be there, and Jeff Wilson.
Oh no! Not only that,
Jeff Wilson to be
that guarantees Chris Brooks will be back.
Yeah, Chris Brooks definitely, absolutely. So I'm obviously Ahmed played on Sunday. It happened clearly at some point then. So yeah, there's some Dolphins news for you in the middle of the podcast.
Yeah, not a. I mean, I feel bad for Ahmed, but I'm kind of excited because I know he, and maybe he already was foreseeing it when the coach was talking about, Chris Brooks possibly coming back. But I really like it because Chris Brooks was actually one of the most multiple running backs you had on the roster. He was actually helping you out in several areas, and I thought not just running, but the special teams work and the blocking that he was doing was just top notch,
right?
Actually. And I think it's actually more important to have those kind of players on the back ends of those positional roster spots.
Right. So it's interesting. You need guys that can play special teams. You need guys who can
lock the shit out of people too.
Absolutely. And also one thing that we haven't seen a ton of it with Chris Brooks, but because of his physicality, maybe he provides them with something on short yardage downs that they haven't had previously. And so, yeah,
I thought that was good. So, tell me about the event. What went on there? What was going on? And
it was a cool way to see a different side of Tua. A side that maybe I think fans haven't seen. I've seen it in a lot of different elements, but fans get to see it a little bit more. I posted a video of it if you want to check it out on my Twitter account. But essentially, what happened was Tua wanted to give back to his South Florida community. As you know, he's Hawaii native, Alabama roots. And so he said for the last couple of years, he hadn't really felt attached to make this call yet. And this year he felt like he wanted to get his foundation behind and do some things in the community. Cam Kitchens, who's a Miami Hurricane safety. Most of you guys who follow the Canes will know him. He's going to be in the league next year, probably a top two round pick, first or second round pick, in my opinion. He was there and he's had a drive with his mom for the last few years. And so they both were in the same agency with Athletes First. Tua got connected with him and they made it bigger. Essentially, they had 150 turkeys that they gave out within an hour and a half. They gave out $100 gift cards, some goodie bags with Adidas, goodies in there as well. But I think the biggest thing was like Tua, and I've tried to explain it to folks, has been more confident, more comfortable than I think.
We lose you there?
Hold on one second. They've been more confident and comfortable than they've been all season. And so I think that was a sign of that you're seeing a different element of it. And when he was there was even a point where he's turning around the camera and filming us reporters there, essentially going about, giving away turkeys. And so he's doing that. He's having fun with it. He's having chats with us off to the side. And, that I think is a pretty cool element of seeing your quarterback in his own domain and giving back to his community. And a lot of people had fun with his do-rag. He's wearing a do-rag in there as well. So, yeah.
Well, let's see if, by the way, I really loved that he was hard on himself on Sunday.
Yeah.
Because he should be. And that's, playing this week against the Jets, dude, this is what you need to eliminate these turnovers. There's been too many turnovers lately by him. And it seems to me like it happened this past week and it happened with the Giants game. And he'll never admit it and they'll never admit it, but it's almost like they knew they were playing a lesser team and they were willing to take some chances that they shouldn't. You know what I mean? Like a buddy of mine said to me, well, when Tyreek wasn't on the field, he spread the ball a little bit more. And I go, yeah, but then he still forced it to Waddle into triple coverage. And it's like, that's not a ball you throw. You don't throw that ball, especially when there was somebody else open on the left side there, wide open all by himself. And so he is at times forcing the issue, and then there's fumbling. And then the other thing is no more diving, bro. You need to slide so you don't jam a shoulder, an elbow, a wrist, or fumble. But sliding eliminates the chances of fumble and injury. And whether you make the down or not, who gives a shit, dude? You dive when it's the end of a game, it's the playoffs, it's the Super Bowl, not the second quarter of a game that doesn't matter, dude. You can fall short and live for the next play, but don't put yourself at injury risk anymore. That's the only thing, too, I got to say to him.
Absolutely. I think he's understanding that, too. I think he really is understanding his importance to the team. So I think that's a new element to it.
Yeah. I hope so, because this defense you're facing this week, this is a wicked. See, to me, this game is all about Miami's offense against their defense. Period. End of story. Nothing else to talk about here. Overall, that offense should not challenge Miami in that secondary at all. Don't make mistakes. Don't do stupid things, and you should be fine. But if you're going to make mistakes and then open it up for that defense, you're going to give them a shot to be in the game, just like they were this past week.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the one thing about Tua is you saw him being hard on himself, and he didn't have his best game this past game. But I think one thing that he's understanding is, maybe he talked about it, the standard that he's playing with, that he is ultimately having for himself has risen. And he even mentioned it Sunday that if I'm not playing as one of the best players in the league, then why am I doing this, right? It's changed from like, should I be the starting quarterback? Do I have that onus to ultimately, am I the best in the league? And if I'm turning the ball over, I'm not there. And so I think that it should excite Dolphins fans when you hear his standard changing, and that the Dolphins offense standard is changing too, right? Because I think, for better or for worse, they set a standard scoring 70 points, being the top team in the league and scoring that. When they have a game where they're only scoring 20 points and they're turning the ball over 3 times, people are going to say this is a bad day. This is a disappointment, win or lose, right? That's a change in expectations. And so the Dolphins fan base has changed their expectations as far as a team and the quarterback. And the quarterback has done the same with his own game. And so there are going to be some press conferences like yesterday where Tua feels like, I did not play well, but we won in spite of me, quote unquote. And I think that's a testament to a good team, to where your quarterback may not feel like I gave an A performance, but still was enough to win.
Yeah. No, that's and I'm glad that he felt that way, because it's a win and you got to be grateful, but you got to be better, bro. Elite players have to be elite. Yep. And that, and look what happened in the Kansas City game. Tyreek was not elite that day, and you ended up paying the price, because there were only a couple plays to be made in that game, and Tyreek had his chance and he didn't come through. And you just can't do that. So this week, let's wrap it up with this.
Mm-hmm.
When I look at some of the turnovers lately from Tua, and when I look at this offense, the missing ingredient is the dominant running game that was there in the first half of the season. Not the last few weeks. It hasn't been nearly as dominant, and I think at times that is maybe forcing Tua to force the issue at times. How important do you think it is for Miami to get back to having much more success with that running game?
I think that is key. One thing that I thought was interesting, Raheem Mostert got a lot of tough yards that didn't show up necessarily on the stat sheet. I think his final total was like 22 carries for like 88 yards, which is 4 yards a carry. Nothing that anybody gets super excited about, given how hot the Dolphins' run game had been. But there was a lot of really key first downs, key grinding, and Raheem has not been 100%. He was literally the last running back standing because Ahmed got hurt, Achane got hurt. And so I think the importance of Rheaume, and this was actually the first game in Rheaume Mostert's career where he had more than 20 carries. I know the question behind him has been injuries, but I think that he is going to be such a huge part of the core of your running game. We rightfully get excited by Achane, and I think that when he's healthy, he's going to be a key part of this offense. But you got to remember some of the knocks we talked about early in the season about Achane was that he is small. He's going to be a guy that may get fell on like he did this past week and loses some time. And so he's going to have a less of a durability spectrum as far as touches that Mostert is having. So I still think, even with the excitement of Achane, Mostert is your lead of this backfield, your lead of this running game. Yeah. It's going to go on his behalf. And Achane sort of the change of pace, extra big play threat, right? And so I think that you're seeing when you re-enter Robert Hunt into this lineup, I think you're going to see this run game kind of take off even more. And as you play on the second half of the season, you're going to need this because, as you've noticed, teams have tried different formations to try to stop Tyreek and Tua in this passing game. Tyreek's talked at length about the different looks they're getting. Teams are getting more and more film, and they're going all in to stop this passing game. And so the way you bounce back to do something different is to force them into covering this run game and showing that they have to respect that. And so I think that, last week I saw a lot out of Rheaume Mostert, and I think that gave me confidence that this offense can be built to have some success in December and January.
Well, one more thing, by the way, Achane, I know he said that, he could end up playing this week, but I almost feel like they've taken the precautionary approach. Probably hold him out this week, right?
I think so. I don't know for sure. We'll hear from McDaniel on Wednesday. They didn't.
He won't tell you either on Wednesday.
Right. They didn't practice today. They had a walkthrough. I will say I saw Achane in the locker room. He was jogging. He was having to go to a team meeting. So this is not something significant. I don't think that this is something where you're going to miss him for several weeks like you did before. I think this is a situation where they probably were a little scared because it happened to be the same knee, and they were like, oh no, we can't lose him for the rest of the season. I think that if he probably could have come back in that game, and he probably could play Friday, but they've been so conservative time after time on injuries. And so I'm just going to believe they're going to be conservative until I see otherwise.
And a short week, which also adds to it. So I just kind of see, and it gives them an extra week with extra days to then get him back for the next game. I could see them really holding him out for this one because that's the approach they have taken the entire time, is that they've taken that precautionary approach. All right, what do you got going on in the NFL Network? So folks,
tomorrow I will be on our NFL Insider Show midday around 12, and then we also have NFL Report, which is a show we do that ends up on YouTube and our NFL channel. That'll run around 7 o'clock as well. So be a full day. I'll be talking a little bit of Dolphins, but also some Texans Jags, which will be the game I'm at this weekend. Mike Garafolo will be reporting for the Dolphins Jets game in New York where he lives. So I will be watching that one on TV just like you guys and seeing what the boys do up on Black Friday.
Excellent. Looking forward to it. All right, Cam, as always, appreciate the insight, my friend. We will catch up later on. Thank you,
Absolutely.
Sir.
You too.
You got it. Cameron Wolfe on Twitter. Catch his work there at the NFL Network. And, of course, when we talk about KSDT CPAs, you can hire them for your business, for your personal taxes. Use that QR code. And here's the other thing. They're also hiring. You can hire them for your taxes. They might hire you to help do taxes. They are hiring in our offices in Dade, Broward, and Palm Beach counties, 3 different offices, and a 4th office in North Carolina. So for those listeners that might be in the North Carolina area and you are looking for work in that industry, please reach out to KSDT CPAs. And if you want to hire them to do your personal or business taxes, trust me, they do mine. They do Cameron Wolfe's. KSDT CPAs, 305-670-3370.